If your idea of reality isn't matching up with everybody else's idea of reality, it's probably because it's not reality you're living in.
The Ohio Senate passed legislation known as the bathroom bill.
You go to the bathroom that you're actually supposed to go to, or you piss outside.
But its critics say this is just the latest in a series of bills here at the Ohio State House that target the LGBTQ plus community.
Don't bring the other letters into it. The L, the G, the B, not involved. The TQ, make those your problems, because the trans community is its own worst enemy. And people like me have been trying to warn them forever that things like this were coming and that there was going to eventually be backlash. What's up, everybody? Ty Rivera here, the absolute best LGBTQ comedian in the world. Well, just yesterday, the Ohio Senate passed SB 104.
Senate Bill 104 will require both public and private grade schools and all Ohio universities to prohibit non-gendered bathrooms and will ban transgender students from using bathrooms that align with their gender identity.
Otherwise known as a bathroom bill, and now they're just waiting on Governor Mike DeWine to sign it. Governor DeWine has said that he's just got to look into it and basically make sure that legally everything's okay with it, and he's inclined to sign it, which I'm paraphrasing, but
Governor Mike DeWine has indicated that he is interested in signing this legislation, but says he needs to review the specific language in this bill once it arrives to his desk.
That's basically what he said. And what trans people need to know and the trans community needs to know, and I hate to start off with a spoiler right at the beginning, is that nobody cares. It is your own fault, and it's a decision that you're going to have to live with, and it's unfortunately a decision that people that are actually transsexual are going to have to live with, people that are actually dealing with gender dysphoria, because that's the thing people don't understand, is that there is a difference between what we're being told is trans in the media and being pushed by the community right now, and what are actual trans people. Transsexual people, which is where trans actually comes from, are people that usually aren't even part of the LGBTQ community. They're usually people that just want to live their lives as the gender that they would prefer to present as, and it does come from an actual mental disorder called gender dysphoria. But it's been taken over by a bunch of people, sometimes from the community and sometimes not even from the community. Sometimes it's people that just identify as something that they're not because they want to feel special. That's why when they try to phrase it as this is an attack on the LGBTQ community, no, this is backlash to the TQ community. This is only the new school trans and queer that this is affecting, because I, as a gay man, this will not affect my life, nor will I take it on as my fight. I'm not going to pretend that I support the stupidity and the ridiculousness that has turned into the trans community. And I know a lot of other lesbians, gays, and bisexuals, not only in real life, but online, that feel the same way that I do, that feel like it's all gone too far. And that's what this is. This is backlash from the community trying to go too far and trying too hard to assert itself and insert itself into everybody's everyday life and asking everybody to affirm them. At a point, nobody wants to affirm you anymore. Everybody's done holding your hand. You are what you are. You're born what you're born. And I will not mince words, and I will not kowtow to anybody's feelings on this. This is all your own fault. Take your medicine and shut up. If you had asked me 10 years ago how I felt about the trans community, I would have said I was a staunch supporter. If you had asked me even 6-7 years ago how I felt about the trans community, I would have said that I still supported them, but I didn't like the way that they were going. So now we find ourselves at a spot where I feel like, okay, we'll take your medicine because you guys don't want to learn. And this is what it is with the trans community that a lot of people from within the trans community don't want to accept. Almost all of the other letters have woken up to this, but because of the ridiculousness that's happened with all of it, as far as non-binary now being considered trans, and if you're non-binary and a male, you can go into a women's bathroom, but then at the same time you want to tell us it's completely safe for you to be in the women's bathroom with actual women, but you can't go to the men's bathroom because it's not safe for you. Okay, so under every circumstance, an actual woman is supposed to feel safe with men in their women's bathrooms, which, as much as you would like to say that you're not men because you're trans, the fact of the matter is you are male. So yeah, you may not identify as men, but you are male, which, if you don't know, male and man are synonyms, or have been up until just recently. And again, for a while, I was going with this language. I was understanding what people were saying when they were saying that gender is a social construct. Don't get me wrong. I was never a person that was pushing that. I was just saying, in my head, intellectually, I could understand what people were saying when they would say that gender is a social construct. So men and women are genders, and then male and female are your biological sex. I was like, okay, I see what you're saying. Maybe I don't agree 100%, but I see why you say that this is why you identify the way you identify. But now it's just like, no, I don't wanna. I'm done playing. And so is everybody else. And that's what the trans community needs to understand, is these bills are just people telling you that they are done with all of it. And when it comes to this bathroom bill specifically, Ohio has just had it. There are several other states that are now not doing it as well. Oh yeah, and before we go any further, please make sure to like, comment, and subscribe. We're on our way to 100,000 subscribers. We're making good progress. It doesn't hurt you to hit the subscribe button.
If the bill is signed into law, Ohio will be joining 11 other states with some sort of bathroom ban that has been enacted in their states.
Alabama, Arkansas, Florida, Iowa, Kansas, Kentucky, North Dakota, Oklahoma, Tennessee, and Utah. All of them have decided that they have had it with trans using whatever bathroom they want to use. And I don't blame any of them, because it really has become that ridiculous. I have had straight people, or what in other words would be considered straight people, that identify as trans really harass me about my opinions on what's going on with the LGBT community. But because they identify as trans, never mind the fact that they've changed absolutely nothing about themselves, they are as in their gender and sex as I am. So the same way I am a male and a man, it will be a female and a woman, same person. I'm just making sure that we're covered here, but just says that they're trans. And so they're mad at me because they're saying that I'm transphobic, because I'm like, one, you're not trans, and two, you're not understanding that you are the problem right now. You are what has clouded this situation to a point where the general public has just said, okay, so you're telling us that we either have to accept all of you or none of you. Okay, then we say none of you. And that's what they don't understand has happened with the trans community at this point, is that you put our backs against a wall, and me included have said, okay, then it's none of you. It is none of you. And it's ironic to me that one of the speakers actually said during her speech, it's just the loud minority that are pushing this bill.
To trans Ohioans and our allies, remember that this is your state, and you do not need to cave to the bigotry of a loud minority in the State House.
No, you are the loud minority. The trans community is the loud minority. And that's what they don't get, is that people are really just telling you that enough is enough. We're all tired of playing along. And for a minute there, you really had us. And I don't mean just me. I mean the majority of the country for a minute there was willing to say, okay, let us at least be somewhat open to this. And believe me, there were always the detractors. So I'm not trying to make it sound like everybody was on board, but I get a pretty good gauge of what's going on in the country because I travel the country quite a bit. And because I've traveled so much, I have a pretty big swath of people, mostly conservative, that follow me on social media. And it's been like this for years now. I've been doing stand-up for 21 years and performing in redneck clubs for most of it. So I had a lot of people at a point hitting me up wanting to understand what trans was, being open to the idea. And I, at that time, was still very sympathetic to the trans community and what was going on in the trans community. So I would do my best to help people, to educate people. And then everything got carried away and non-binary became like a thing that was recognized as being trans, which when I was younger, we just used to call those people androgynous, and they would still go to the bathroom of the sex that they were assigned at birth, and that wasn't considered offensive to them. Everybody was as cool about it as you could be. There were always the looks where people would be like, okay, what's going on with that person? But nobody gave those people a real problem. Well, now those people have turned into the problem because I guess they weren't getting the attention that they wanted. And so now it's got to be a thing where they identify as non-binary and they're trans, and we're supposed to treat them the same as trans people, when really trans used to mean transsexual, and that was a person that had actually been diagnosed by a medical professional with gender dysphoria, had been living their life in their chosen gender before they actually started the medical process as far as transition goes, taking hormones, possibly getting surgery. And that's when things got signed off on for changing gender as far as your ID and changing your name and stuff like that. And then it just became this free-for-all of people that just didn't feel special, that wanted to identify as trans. And that's fine if you want to identify as anything you want to identify as, but that doesn't mean that all of us have to affirm it. That doesn't even mean that all of us have to respect it. You can just be a person living in the world and not necessarily need my affirmation. I and no other person I know is constantly going through the world expecting everybody to affirm what they are. We are what we are, and that's enough for most of us. But with the trans community, it's not enough. They got to be in bathrooms that aren't the bathrooms that they were actually supposed to be in. They got to be in changing rooms that aren't the changing rooms that they're supposed to be in. They've got to be in sports that are from the gender that they're not a part of, or let me correct myself, from the sex that they're not a part of. We all got to modify our speech to make them happy. And it's like, no.
Ohioans and Americans, quite frankly, across this country, don't want boys and girls sports. They don't want boys and girls locker rooms. They don't want boys and girls bathrooms. It's for the safety of the kids. And this message was sent loud and clear last week during the national election.
We are done with that. You go to the bathroom that you're actually supposed to go to, or you piss outside. That's what your choices are at this point. Go at home before you come out. Everybody is just 100% done with all of it. And I'm sorry to get upset, but people don't understand how close of a connection I have to the actual trans community when it comes to actual transsexuals, old school transsexuals that were just trying to fly under the radar and live their lives without being bothered. And now we have these people that are ruining it in several states now. It's actual law in several states, and it's making life harder for people that I know that actually do deal with gender dysphoria. Because that's the other thing. You don't even have to have gender dysphoria in order to be trans anymore. It's just, I woke up today, I said I was trans, now you have to accept that I'm trans. And nobody is going with it. And that's what the trans community isn't understanding, is that it's going to keep getting harder and harder for you the more you try to push this. And what's going to happen, and this is what really pisses me off about the situation, is that these people are going to go back to their normal lives as the gender and the sex that they were assigned at birth, because since they don't have gender dysphoria, there is no real connection to it other than just they say. So once they get tired of this little fad, they're going to go back to their normal lives. And actual trans people that suffer from gender dysphoria are going to be stuck having to live under the restrictive laws that were enacted to stop the people that have now gone back to their normal lives and are living as the person that they were born. So yeah, I do get upset. I do get tired of these people pushing an agenda and acting like we're all supposed to go with it. And there was also that trans man that's like,
What if I was forced to use the bathroom of my assigned sex at birth? A women's restroom.
I'm to the point where I'm like, yeah, well then just go to the women's bathroom. Because if we're being 100% honest, by looking at you, we can all tell you were born female. Go to the bathroom that you're actually supposed to be in and stop asking stupid questions, because it goes from kindergarten through higher education. So that means through college. But there's people asking stupid questions like, well, how are you going to know when it's a kid that doesn't carry ID? You just look at their school records. And stop acting like it's that hard for anybody to know just by looking at people what they are or what they were born. In most cases, I would say 99% of the time, especially when it's young school age and they have been on no hormones, there have been no changes to them, we can usually tell if they're a boy or a girl. And in the cases where you can't, you just go to their school records. It's not going to be as hard as you guys try to make it seem. In regular life, I can see how you would think it would be hard to enforce that. But in school, where they have your records, it's pretty easy to just figure out what it is a person was. And I saw somebody online saying, are they actually going to check the body to confirm? No, stupid. You can just look at the records. It's that simple. It's not that invasive. Also, if everybody's just being honest, then they just go to the bathroom that they're supposed to go to and shut up about it. Stop acting like it's such a violation that everybody doesn't want to play into your fantasy. If your idea of reality isn't matching up with everybody else's idea of reality, it's probably because it's not reality you're living in. Anyway, let me know what you guys think down below in the comments. If you want to see another video of my silliness, click the link on the screen. Thank you for watching. As always, this has been Ty Rivera, the absolute best LGBTQ comedian in the world.